Number two, 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 two. You guys like that one? That was cute, right? Oh, I loved it. I will be on a plane this week, though. A lot of you know I'm heading to Ohio on Monday. Be there for a few days. It'll be weird to be on a plane again. It's been a long time since I've been on a plane. Should be interesting. All right, thing number two. Are you guys ready for Fun Friday with Friends? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So let me bring on my friend and yours, Miss Cheryl. Hello,
Hi,
Cheryl. How are ya?
I'm doing very well.
Hey, and pronounce your last name for me, Cheryl.
It's Yasuda.
Yasuda. Okay, I wasn't quite sure.
Yes,
What?
yes. My husband's Japanese.
Okay, there you go. I was going to ask, is it
So,
a Japanese name? Have you been back to Japan?
no, I haven't.
Oh, oh,
There's the good guy.
over just a little bit more. Oh, there he is. That's awesome. There we go. Are you guys getting an echo or are we okay? Let me make sure. Can you hear me okay, Cheryl?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Oh, let's see. Here we go. Are you there?
I am.
Okay. All right. All right. There we go. So, Cheryl, you are joining us from Swan Valley, Idaho. Tell us where that is.
It's between Idaho Falls and Jackson Hole, Wyoming. As the crow flies, I'm only about 20 miles to Jackson. And if you're ever
Oh,
kind of Swan Valley is where you have to make the decision whether you're going to go over Teton Pass to Jackson Hole or if you're going to go to Alpine and take the canyon to Jackson Hole.
okay.
And it's famous for square ice cream cones. Everybody stops to get
Really?
square ice cream cones
Okay. Something weird
instead
is
of a
happening.
round Instead of a round scoop, they have a square scoop.
Nice. Let's see.
Yes.
There it seems like there is a tiny echo and I'm not sure how to resolve that. Um, let's see. Mallory, could you do me a favor? Downstairs I have some um air or earbuds in my jacket. Could you grab them for me? Okay, we're going to try and see if I can get that to work. So, a square ice cream, we used to have that in California, and it was at a place called Thrifty's. And
Hmm.
Thrifty's had a square ice cream scoop.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. It, it's at Rainy Creek store, and my maiden name is Rainy. And so everybody asks me, "Oh, do you have the franchise?" No, I wish I did, but I don't.
That's right. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's so great. Well, tell us so just outside of Jackson Hole, which is beautiful, Idaho is beautiful, right? And
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about you, your family.
Okay. Well, in case you haven't met the most blessed person on the planet, you're looking at her. I am the
Oh,
most because 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with a super rare form of cancer. 1 in 9 million get it. And I've always been an overachiever. So sign me up. I had to get the rare one.
that's a great way
And,
to look at it.
and they only gave me about 18 months to live because I was in such good health. They gave me that long. And I started undergoing treatment. I had full body radiation. I had chemotherapy and everything. And then my older sister came to the rescue and donated her bone marrow. And so I had a bone marrow transplant and it cured the cancer. So that, but the treatments were really rugged and hard on my body. And long story short, the treatment killed my kidneys. And so 2 years ago, my younger sister gave me a kidney. And so I have parts of my older sister, parts of my younger sister, and I'm the needy middle sister.
I'm gonna cry. That is so incredibly sweet and amazing.
Yeah. The only thing better than girlfriends are sisters. And
there you go.
And you know, I'm here because of the sacrifices of my sisters.
Yeah.
And it since all of that has occurred, then I pretty have to stay isolated because my immune system is so weak. And so that's where my girlfriend's quilt shop comes in, is because during the epidemic or pandemic, you saw a niche and you filled it. And so you reached out with all these wonderful online classes, and I'm just a girlfriend for life. I've taken so many of the classes. I never miss 3 at 3, and my skill set has increased so much. And I feel like I'm not just doing time, I'm being productive. And that feels really good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. You have me in tears, Cheryl. that's really
Well, I didn't
sweet.
mean to do that.
No, I think it's amazing, and what wonderful sisters you have to do that for you.
Oh, yes.
But
Yes.
they would do it.
It's just,
They would do it all over again. You know, that's the thing. They would do it all over again, no questions asked, and I know that you would do the same thing for them.
oh, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I really had a hard time with the kidney transplant deciding to do it. I just figured my kidneys would last for as long as I needed them if I was careful. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew they took quite a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But when they finally said, nope, it's time, I really debated whether to even go forward because I felt
Yeah.
like I was being a piggy to the trough. You know, I
Oh.
already got my second chance with the bone marrow transplant curing my cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister had a come to Jesus meeting with me, and she said, "Listen," she said, "I'm not donating my kidney to the world. I'm donating my kidney to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want it, well, I'll keep it. But you know, this is for you." And
Yeah.
so that helped me get on board and get over that feeling like I was being selfish. Because
No.
you know, many people die every day waiting
Yep.
for a kidney,
Yeah.
and I was blessed with a sister that would do that for me.
Ah, that what a wonderful story. Thank you. Now,
Oh.
how many tell us how many children you have or
We have 3,
Mhm.
and I've got a picture here of them, and we have 3 grandchildren.
Oh, there we
Yes.
go. What a great looking family.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
how
they're great.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Oh my goodness. Wow. So now have us all choked up, but I loved hearing the story and you're right. I mean, you are so blessed and we are looking right at a miracle.
Yeah. And you know, when you're having a not so good day, you just
Mhm.
have to think, oh, you know, what do you have to complain about?
Yes,
Nothing,
nothing.
nothing.
Mhm.
And you know, it's
Oh,
just my desire is to use the gift that I've been given to bless the lives of others. And
yes.
I think I've been had the opportunity to do that recently with what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, so that's a great way to lead us into. You wanted to talk to us about memory quilts and memory items. Why don't you share a little
Yes.
bit more about that?
Okay. What I've made t-shirt quilts in the past and stuff, but my best friend in Montana had her sister-in-law um, pass away last October. She was diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor on her 60th birthday
Mm.
and didn't even last 30 days.
Oh.
And so her husband took all her shirts and put them in a bag. And they have a handicapped daughter, and they wanted a quilt made out of her shirts. And they asked if my best friend asked me if I would do it, and I said, "Well, I think I can do that."
Mm-hmm.
And so she sent them to me, and there were only about 25, and that's kind of like the bare minimum kind of you need.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did some fill-in blocks, and I'll show you them. But my mom always raised me that if there wasn't enough for everybody, nobody got it. And so I felt bad that even though the handicapped daughter really needed a quilt, and that was, great for her, I felt bad that the other three kids there was nothing to make them. And he had given all her other clothes away. And so this was it. That's all I had to work with. And so what I did is I made memory pillows for the other kids.
Let's
And
take a look.
this is one of them.
Oh, I love it.
And this is a t-shirt. I'm used to making them out of button-down shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just put a zipper in the sides so that you had easy
Oh.
access so that this was kind of a small t-shirt. And here's another one.
I love the saying.
Oh, this is a shirt I used to wear. When you hold it, know I am near, Mom.
Oh, that is so
And
sweet.
and then because I had scraps left over, then I made for they only have one grandchild. I made, and they called her Mimi. Her name was Michelle, but they called her Mimi. So I made a Kimber Bear out of the t-shirt scraps. And then,
How sweet.
and then the other kids, I made them a bear to go along with their
Oh.
pillow.
Oh,
Oh,
that is so
and
sweet.
and then this is the t-shirt quilt. They wanted a rag style quilt.
Uh-huh.
And so and then I embroidered, I don't know, can you see that?
Oh,
The light.
yes.
And I embroidered, may love be what you remember most, Mom.
Mm. Oh.
And so and then I backed it with flannel is what's on that rag quilt.
Yeah.
And I learned a couple things that I think are kind of interesting. Usually, with a rag quilt, you just sew an X through the center of the square. Well, I wanted to do something a little different. So, I had taken Lisa's class on custom quilting on your embroidery machine.
Sure.
And so what I did instead of an X, I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, but I used an embroidery file and
let's bring it over just a little. There we go. Mm-hmm.
embroidered in the center.
Great
And
idea.
on all and then on the back, then it really shows up nicely to the quilting
Oh, yeah.
by doing it that way.
Over here.
I'm not very camera savvy.
That's okay. That's all right.
But I thought that added a little touch to it. And,
I love
even though,
that.
an X does the job, but I
Right.
just thought it was a little nicer, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I
and
definitely think so.
and anyway, it was something fun to play with, and then
Yeah.
to embroider the center.
Yeah.
And then on the label, I put, that it was made from her mother's clothes and
I
stuff.
love that.
So
I can't even imagine, just having that wrapped around you and you would just feel that love and that comfort, right?
yes, and then I can, if you'd like, I can go through some of the things that I've learned or I find helpful in making a
Yes.
t-shirt club, because I was thinking, with graduations coming,
Mm-hmm.
I think this time of year, t-shirt quilts are quite popular, and
Definitely.
you just think, oh, I've got all these shirts, what do I do with them? And so I thought I'd show you, and then I'll show you the only quilt I've ever made for myself, and I call it "My Life as a T-shirt." And I'll show you that. But
Can't
um,
wait to see.
when you're getting started, there's a few things you want to keep in mind. First of all, is your rotary cutter. You
Yeah.
want to put a fresh blade in because you're going to be using it, and there's nothing more frustrating than to saw through the fabric. So, put a new blade in your rotary cutter. Not only
Yes.
is that being nice to the t-shirt, it's being nice to your mat. And those are expensive notions.
That's right.
And so it's a lot easier on your mat to go with a fresh blade. The second thing, and this is probably pretty obvious, but you want to make sure your t-shirts are pre-washed.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that's not an issue unless you have a hand signed concert T-shirt that you won't let anybody breathe on. That
Yeah.
you'll want to pre-wash them, and then you can do really any size that you want, but it is helpful if your blocks are symmetrical. It makes it easier putting it together.
Mm-hmm.
And so a method I really like to use is I use a 6.5 inch ruler, square
Mm-hmm.
one,
Mm-hmm.
and I use a 6.5 by 12-inch ruler.
Mm.
And I couldn't find one, so my handy husband made me one.
So good.
And then the other one I use is a 12.5-inch square ruler.
Oh,
Can you,
yes.
can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Definitely.
reason that I like that
Mm-hmm.
is because if you're using a 6.5 inch, you can make a 4 patch, and then it comes out to be 12.5. So it's the
Mm-hmm.
same size.
Right.
Or you know how you have t-shirts that go across the chest? Well, a 6.5
Oh,
12
yeah.
by 12.5, you can put two of those together, and again, the the block is all the same size.
Definitely.
Um, so that really does work if you can strive for that. But now sometimes your kids or grandkids might have like football jerseys, soccer jerseys, and they're a lot larger. And you can use the 15.5 inch square ruler for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest, if you're doing that, to do it in a column. And so if it doesn't measure out like your 12.5 inch blocks did,
Mm-hmm.
you can always put a header on the top and a footer on the bottom to make,
Okay.
to fill in whatever
Oh, yeah.
size that you need. So that will work. Um, so the next thing I would suggest doing is just take your pile of shirts, and you're going to sort through them. And there's a few kinds of t-shirts. This is a common t-shirt. It's got
Mm-hmm.
a little logo on the pocket area.
Right.
And you could go and take your little 6.5 inch ruler. And, you know, and just go ahead and cut it. But don't do that, because you need to look at the back.
Yes.
Because you've got the back to consider. And so to deconstruct a t-shirt is really pretty easy. And, you know, for heaven's sakes, don't use your scissors, save your hands, use your rotary cutter. And cut along where the sleeve comes off, cut that off, and then around the neck opening and the shoulder, and then just cut the sides all the way down, and then you'll have two pieces, and you can work with that. Well, suppose like this t-shirt, it doesn't have a back.
Okay.
You know, and you technically could just, you know, put your 12.5 inch on there, and, you know, and I would always rough cut it larger than that, because then you're going to stabilize before you finish cutting it to size. And but don't do that either, because you're wasting this back. And the back, think of it as free fabric. Who throws away free fabric? You can use it as a fill-in blank, like if you don't have enough t-shirts but you still want to make a quilt, or you can use it for memory pillows. You can make it for the Kimber Bears or other things. So think of it as free fabric, and you don't want to throw it away. Okay, then there's this type of t-shirt where the logo goes across. Let's see, is that? Can you see that? Okay, that's where the 6.5 by 12.5 works great. And you might notice that you probably can't tell on camera, but this is that kind of jersey knit kind of stuff. And you think, oh, that's a different fabric. Oh, as long as it's stabilized, you can treat it like cotton. It works just fine.
Okay.
So that's kind of a variety of t-shirts. You kind of get the idea about how to construct it, or deconstruct your t-shirt. And then the other thing you want to think about now is you have to stabilize. Right. And if you don't, oh, you're going to hate yourself. You know, you just are. And there's lots of different, there's lots of different stabilizers you can use. What I like and what I use is Palon 911 FF. Okay. Can you see that? And the FF stands for featherweight fusible. Okay. And when you're figuring how much are you going to need, I would say give yourself a half a yard per t-shirt. And that's probably more than you need, but that's a safe bet. And, you know, watch for sales and stuff like that, because I think it's $3.99 a yard, but I got some on a 75% off sale, and so I paid $1 a yard. Yeah, scored. You know, you don't iron it on, you press. That's up right. And down, up and down. And then once and it fuses very easily. Effort at all, and then use your template and cut the size that you want. Then it's like cotton. It doesn't stretch, and it goes together really nice. But you know, you have to fuse it, or you won't be liking life.
That's right.
And then after you get all your blocks, you know, there'll be 4 patches, there'll be 2 patches, there'll be, you know, just 1 block, however you want to do it. Then, you know, lay it out on your bed, or if you're as fortunate to have a design wall, you know, lay it out on your design wall to what is appealing to you. Something, you know, go row by row. You can go columns. Sometimes it's a nice look is if you offset them a little bit, and then you don't have to match seams too. We're always thinking. And then of course, if you're doing a rag quilt, you'll want flannel on the bottom of the sandwich, batting in the middle, and then the t-shirt block on top. Or if you're doing a traditional block, that'll be a little different. So you can do the rag style. That's kind of nice because then you don't have to send it to the long armor.
Right.
But that's how I do it. Is there any questions about how to put it together, or
do we have any questions, you guys? What questions do you have for Cheryl on this? Let's see. I know they're loving your sewing space around you.
Oh, well, I also collect American Girl dolls. You'd never guess.
No, love them.
and I repair them, and
Really?
so this is my happy place.
Oh, wow. Do people send them to you to have repaired?
Yeah, well, usually it's friends or friends of a friend. I don't charge for it. It's just a hobby I have, and they're such quality dolls. The old ones, they can look pretty ratty, and I can get them looking like brand new. And
really?
Maybe I've watched too many Toy Story movies, but I just think the rehab dolls just love you more because they were saved, from the junk pile.
True. That's so true. You gave them a little TLC.
And so this is the only quilt I've ever made for myself.
Oh my goodness.
And I've made hundreds of quilts, but I've never made one for myself. And this is one I made for me. And I call it My Life as a T-shirt. Because it's got just memories from my cancer treatment, my kidney transplant, my work as a critical care nurse for 32 years. Just my hometown of Miles City, Montana. Every square has a memory, and I didn't intend for it to be this big. It's queen size, and I didn't intend. I was going to be a quilt for the car, but I tried to weed them down, and I did some, but I just have too many memories. I had to include them.
Oh, absolutely.
And then it's got Minky on the back.
Oh, so, even better.
And then it's all hearts.
Even better. Yes.
A long armor quilted it with hearts. So that was really fun.
I bet it's a heavy quilt.
Oh, it is. You get a workout if you're lifting that. And who needs a weighted blanket?
No. It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. I love it. That's so beautiful. And the way someone was asking earlier about how you quilted your t-shirt blocks, but you did just just a quilt, an embroidery design.
Yeah. Just an embroidery design. And I used a magnetic hoop, and it was really, and it was very easy, and this just went right in the center. But when you're choosing an embroidery design, you may want to, just make sure that you have, because seams on rag quilts are 1/2 inch to 1 inch, depending on how much you want, but it has to be at least 1/2 inch. And so make sure that the embroidery design doesn't go too far out of your block.
Yes. What kind of batting did you use in the t-shirt quilt? Did you use any batting?
Yes, I did. I used Soft and Bright.
Soft and bright.
Right. And in the red quilt, I used warm and natural, but in my quilt, it's soft and bright, I think is what it's called. A long armor did it. So
nice. Carol said that she had made a t-shirt quilt for Linda, and she had so many running shirts, she had to put some on the back and equal number on the front. There you go.
yeah,
You
that would be great. That would be really, really great. I in my plans coming up is my husband's brother. He had just retired from service in the military for over 20 years, and he unexpectedly died 2 years later. And I made it all through Iraq and all of that, and then he died. And he didn't collect postcards from where he'd been. He collected T-shirts. And so he never married and never had any children. And so my husband got all these T-shirts. And he has 5 nieces and nephews, including our 3 children. And so my goal is to make every one of the kids a T-shirt quilt out of their uncle's T-shirts, because he doesn't have a posterity. And this way, I mean, not that he is going to be forgotten, but this is just a tangible way of then maybe his grand nieces and grand nephews can say, well, what's this? And it'll start a conversation. Yeah, and start a conversation. So that's in my goal.
I love that.
I do have a couple tricks if you'd be interested in.
Oh, we always love tricks.
Well, we talked about the mats being an expensive notion, and you want to take good care of it. I don't know if anybody has ever seen this product. It's by Dritz, and it's called a quilt smoother or a mat smoother, cutting mat smoother. And it's kind of like a disc with super fine grit on it. If you touch it, it's just slick. But, we should try and rotate the places that we use on our mats. And so, inevitably, they do get grooves in them. Well, you can take this and do circular motions around your mat, and it'll smooth out those gouges. Oh. And it will, it doesn't make it 100%, but it does prolong the life of your mat. And who doesn't want to do that?
Well, yeah, for sure. I'd be doing that after. It would be wax on, wax off, wax on. Wax off.
But it's by Dritz, and it's called rotating mat smoother.
I'll have to look into that.
And if you have an AccuQuilt and the mats you have to use on top of the dies, they get marked up too. This will work also for that.
I love that. That's a great
tip. The other thing that I keep by my sewing machine, I don't know if you know what this is.
I do.
It's a canning lid magnet. So like when you put your lids in hot water, waiting to put them on your jar before you tighten down the ring, so you don't burn your fingers, you just put this into the pot of the hot water with the lids and lift it up, and the lid comes out. But a very, very helpful tool, if you break a needle, and you can't find where it is, and it's there somewhere, you can wave this around by your feed dogs or around in there, or sometimes like my Bernina has a magnet on the shuttle thing, and a lot of times the needle will stick to that. But if you just run this around, you'll find your needle. So that's a handy thing to keep by your.
Oh yes.
And you can get it in the canning supply place or aisle at Walmart or wherever you can find canning jars. Little $2 item, but it helps.
Magic wand.
Yeah. And then the other thing, and maybe you've talked about this, but Elmer's school glue.
Okay.
You know, I keep that in my sewing room along with the freezer paper because it really works nice if, like, when you're making the back of a throw pillow where you overlap the pieces on the back, and you do a kind of a narrow hem. Well, sometimes it's hard to get it folded over twice and still be narrow. So you can run a little bead of glue down and fold it over, and then just take your iron and the glue dries and it doesn't gum up your needle. And it when you kind of need that extra help and you don't want to use pins or clips, it's something to keep in the back of your mind. Maybe the glue would work.
I love that. That's a great idea. Wow, that's great.
And then now my quilt's all covering it up, but I have a little notion right next to my sewing machine, and it's called the Sip and Snip, and it's a little fabric basket for your scraps, but it's got a holder for your drink.
Yes.
And it just clamps onto your sewing table. And boy, those would make nice Mother's Day gifts, girlfriend gifts, anything. It's a nice little item.
One's from Gypsy Gripper. Yeah, I know
Yes.
exactly the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a nice little thing.
So those are some great tips. My goodness,
any questions or things that I need to clarify? Or
everyone is loving all of these ideas that you're sharing. It's so nice to read through. Let's see. Someone asked, does buffing out those things, does it rub off the lines or change them at all?
No.
Susan's asking. No.
It is like super, super fine grit. If you were to touch it, it's not rough at all. It's as smooth as silk. But it really does work quite well on those mats.
It pulls out those really tiny threads that get stuck in there as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I discovered it, and it works pretty slick.
Alicia's wondering if you are in your sewing area every day doing projects.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. If it's just I've got to be creative, and I've like I said, I was a critical care nurse for 32 years, and
bless you.
It ended so abruptly. I didn't have chance to ease on into retirement. It was just there one day, and they say you're going for treatment next week. And so that has been a hard adjustment. And so I think nursing is a creative art. And so sewing and crafting is too. And this is my happy place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I see a Kimberbell little wall hanging behind you. Happen to see that. It's quite fitting. Why don't you bring that up to the screen? That is so cute. I'm so happy. Oh, so happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. It's fun.
Sewing definitely takes us it's that you time a little bit, right? That me time.
Oh, yeah. And you get to help, bless others by your handwork, because
definitely.
Anybody can write a check and buy a present, and that's that's very nice, but not everybody gets a handmade gift.
Right.
And anybody that makes quilts know you got to be loved for you to make them a quilt.
They were quilt worthy.
Yes, quilt worthy. But that's where my girlfriend's quilt shop has just saved the day. I know I'm not alone in other people that have had a real life-changing events and are more homebound. and they're social people. They like to do things, and yet they're prevented from doing it.
Yeah.
And so by reaching out to online classes and everything, that you just have such an opportunity to still grow, to still increase your skill set and feel connected. I mean, there's people on here from Delaware, you know. I mean, where would
Yeah.
somebody from rural Idaho, population 203, ever meet somebody from Delaware?
Right.
You know, so
Aw,
it's
I love that.
I just can't applaud you enough for filling that niche, and
Thank you.
it's just, it means the world.
Well, thank you. Oh, Cheryl, this has been such an absolute delight to have you on today.
Oh,
It has really just started my weekend off really well. And yeah. Oh, Kathy says that you're the swan in Swan Lake, Idaho. There you go. That's really sweet.
oh, that's really sweet.
Oh,
Um,
so nice. It is just it is so fun to be able to meet different men and women from all over, and this is what brings us together, and we find out that, we do have a lot more in common than we think, right?
oh,
Yeah,
we have more in common than differences,
absolutely.
and I think our world would be a better place if we concentrated on that
Yeah,
and brought out the positive and didn't look for the negative, because you'll
right.
find it if you look.
Oh, yes, for sure. So I feel almost kind of funny, like asking you my last question, because I feel like this whole thing you've given us life advice. But what life advice has served you well over the
Oh,
years?
I didn't even have to think about it. I used to have it on this wall in vinyl lettering, but
What
then
did
I
it say?
decided I need more things on it. But it's, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yep.
That is so true. Wow, that's a beautiful way to end today. That's a very, very true.
Well, thank you for inviting me,
You're
and
welcome.
again,
It's
thank you
so
for
fun.
all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep doing this if you guys didn't come and join every day. So it's what keeps me going too. So thank you for sharing such a personal side of your journey with us, and here, bringing us all together. And now I think you've got a whole lot more people who want to just keep following you, keep seeing what you're doing, and I think it's just wonderful.
Well, I'd love seeing what everybody is doing. I learn
Definitely.
from it, and I'd love your tips and stuff like that. So
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
wish you
Well,
all happy weekends and happy
hmm
Valentine's Day.
yes, yes, that's right. It's the weekend of Valentine's Day. Very exciting. Well, Cheryl, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you. And afterwards, and make sure and read through the comments, because a lot of people have wonderful things to say about you. And I always tell my Friday guests, if you're ever having a bad day, you need to come on here and see all the things because you've touched a lot of people today. So
Oh,
thank
well,
you.
thank you. Thank
You are
you.
welcome. All right.
Bye bye.
Bye, Cheryl. All righty. Oh, isn't she wonderful? Oh my goodness. I love her. I just love her. I have a new friend in Swan Valley, Idaho. I am so that just makes me happy. Hey, someone I saw it come through. Someone said, "Where do you find these wonderful guests?" Guess what? They're you. They're people just like you. So, shout out to if you would like to be a guest of mine, and if I don't hear from you, I may just reach out to you. And I've told others, don't make me come hunt you down. Pretty, 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 please, will you be one of my guests for on a Friday? I would love to have you
be on here because everybody knows something about something, right? And so don't ever feel like, oh, well, I don't know anything. I don't know that much, or I'm not as good as so and so, or I don't know how. It's okay. Stop the negative self talk and get yourself on here. It really isn't too bad. We'll go through, we'll just talk about the things that you love, share the things that you enjoy doing. And I would love to have you guys come on. So reach out to me if you're willing to be a 3 at 3 guest. I have people booked out through April right now. So don't worry, you've got a few weeks, a few months if you need some time. If you want to say, Kris, I would like to be in December, I'll put you in December. So let's get you on the schedule because all of these Friday guests, with a few exceptions that we bring on some different designers, but most of our guests are our girlfriends and boyfriends who are right here on 3 at 3. And we would love to get to know you better. And did you guys notice she had the 3 at 3 t-shirt on and the hoodie? I saw that and I was going to say something and then it's faced me. So anyway, that was pretty fun to see. So thank you again, Cheryl. Oh boy, I'm gonna say this wrong. Usadi? Oh shoot, something like that. Cheryl, Cheryl Y. You are a treasure, and what a gift you have given us by being here today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.